Minister divides to distract. He turns groups against each other. He fans the flames. He gave funds to an anti-Semitic Holocaust denier. And so even before October 7th, hate crimes were up 162%. And since, we've seen the rise of Hamas-inspired hate camps at university campuses that intimidate Jewish students and promote genocide. Will the Prime Minister finally summon the courage to join with me and call for these hate camps to be shut down and closed up so that students can safely go back to school?
The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
I welcome the Leader of the Opposition recognizing the divisive rhetoric and the division that is occurring in Canadian society right now. We have a problem with hatred. We've got to address that problem with hatred. We know that the statistics show that hate crimes are on the rise 130% in the last 5 years. That's why I was proud to stand with CJA when we tabled Bill C-63, the online harms legislation that would improve penalties for hate crimes, that would provide a definition of hatred, that would ensure that we are keeping Canadian communities safe. The Special Envoy in Anti-Semitism supports the bill. CJA supports the bill. I'm just wondering why the Leader of the Opposition does not.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
About those hate camps, all while he allows 700 agents of the Iranian regime to openly operate in Canada 4 years after they killed 55 Canadians, 30 permanent residents, and funded the brutal massacres of October 7th. 6 years of excuses and they did nothing. But with the by-election on Monday and the Prime Minister desperately needing to pad his margins, it turns out that there might be enough pressure for them to finally ban the IRGC terrorists that they should have banned years ago before they set up shop here to terrorize our communities. Why does the Prime Minister always put himself ahead of the safety of Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Public Security.
Mr. Speaker, our government has taken a series of measures to hold the murderous Iranian regime to account. We have consistently said and taken measures, whether it's under immigration legislation. We've listed the Revolutionary Guard Quds Force in terms of being a terrorist entity. Mr. Speaker, we take advice from national security agencies in terms of listings, and we think that honourable members should allow that process to take place. And when we have some news, we'll be making an announcement appropriately.
L'honorable député de Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord.
The honourable member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, there is a reason why people are saying that the Environment Minister should resign. Once again, he is going after forestry workers. Thousands of jobs are at stake in the Saguenay region. And yet, Quebec has the largest network of protected areas for woodland caribou. But the Environment Minister still wants to impose his order in council without considering the socioeconomic consequences. This minister, who lives in Montreal, never understands our regional issues. When will the Environment Minister stop punishing forestry workers who are just trying to do their job and earn a living?
I can't tell if Trudeau left or not.
The Honourable Environment and Climate Change Minister. Well, I would like to remind my colleague that I was born and grew up in the beautiful town of La Tuque, in my colleague's riding, the Minister of Industry's riding. Now, my second point is that Quebec has committed since 2016 to publishing a caribou recovery plan. And there was a letter from the provincial and federal government in 2022. And in 2022, once again, Quebec promised to implement a caribou protection strategy and to protect 65% of that species' habitat. The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, how many times has the Environment Minister been to the Saguenay region to meet with representatives of the forestry industry? Once? Twice? No, 0 times. No times, because he doesn't seem to be able to travel outside of Quebec. The forestry industry is crucial in Quebec, but he doesn't even seem to understand that. He needs to stop going after the industry. He needs to decide not to impose his order in council. Thousands of jobs are at stake, and that means thousands of families are at stake too. Conservatives will always protect forestry workers' paychecks. Will the minister respect Quebec's jurisdiction once and for all, and will he leave forestry workers alone?
Yeah, it looks to me like Trudeau's left.
L'honorable ministre de l'Innovation.
The Honourable Innovation Minister. Mr. Speaker, a little guy from Shawinigan or Latuc will not be taking lessons from the Conservatives when it comes to protecting our regions, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we know how to protect both the economy and our environment. We've always invested in the forestry sector. We will always continue to invest in the forestry sector and industry. And for workers in that industry watching, tuning in from home, they should know that on this side of the House, we will do everything we can to defend them, to make Canada stronger and better, and to guarantee a great future for future generations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Montmagny, Lille, Kamouraska, Rivière-du-Loup. Mr. Speaker, 9 years of this Liberal government means 9 years of encroachment on Quebec's areas of jurisdiction. The Environment Minister wants to impose an emergency order in Council to restrict the work of forestry workers, and which would imperil thousands of jobs in this sector in Quebec. Only a Conservative government would protect forestry workers' jobs. With the help of the member for Avignon, La Métis, Matane, Matapédia, will the Environment Minister stop infringing on Quebec's jurisdictions with his radical ideas? He and the Bloc Québécois member should stop this. The Honourable Innovation Minister. Mr. Speaker, we understand that forestry are part of Canada's DNA, very fabric, and the workers of the forestry industry are incredibly important. We're investing in the forestry industry. Not only are we doing that, but we're also looking into developing new technology because we want the forestry sector to continue to be prosperous in the 20th and the 21st century, and then beyond that. We are working with all sorts of partners, and those who are tuning in today can rest assured that we always protect the forestry industry and its workers. The Honourable Member for Montmagny, Lille, Kamouraska, Rivière-du-Loup. Well, Mr. Speaker, after 9 years in power, this Liberal government still hasn't figured out its place. It persists in imposing its incompetence on the provinces. It wants to pass an emergency order in Council to protect the woodland caribou and completely encroach on the jurisdiction of the Quebec government, which is seeking to protect jobs, nature, and the economy. And just imagine, the Bloc helps them every time. Can the radical Minister of the Environment put his radical ideas aside, mind his own business, and let Quebec handle its affairs? The Honourable Innovation Minister. Yes, we have been in power for 9 years. And after 9 years, finally today, the Conservatives are waking up. It's Groundhog Day. Well, the beginning isn't today. We've been here. We'll continue to be there. We've been there for the forestry industry. We'll be there for them tomorrow. We are protecting the jobs of today and the jobs of the future. On this side of the House, we will continue to work hard, and we'll let the Conservatives chat and not do much, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Shefford. The program Aging Well at Home is a perfect example of the federal government's lack of compassion. Since 2022, the Quebec government has been asking for the money to be transferred to Quebec because this falls under Quebec's area of jurisdiction. Meanwhile, Ottawa has been trying to impose its conditions. Today, the federal government prefers to cut seniors' checks rather than reach an agreement with Quebec. The government's priority is clearly not helping people. This government's priority is to make all the decisions and then look good while being the ones to hand out checks with maple leaves on them. What is this government waiting for to transfer the money instead of just failing seniors? The Honourable Tourism Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my colleague. The program Aging Well at Home is a federal national program to help seniors age safely and with dignity. Mr. Speaker, our government invested $90 million in this program so that community organizations can put forward projects. Mr. Speaker, Quebec organizations and groups put forward projects through this program and this funding. We'll continue to work very hard with them to ensure that they receive funding.